Today I want to talk a little bit about what has happened with it's not really a pardoning, but the commutation of the sentence of Chelsea Manning. The reason why I want to address it is because I think a lot of folks that grew up the way I did have this concept of Manning as a spy. He was not, she was not, whoever. The point is, you think about some of the famous spies of the era in which I grew up. You think about Aldrich Ames. You think about Robert Hansen. You think about these guys who, over a course of years, intentionally sold secrets to a specific enemy of the state of, our country, whatever you want to call it. Point is this. They went out knowing that they were getting money in exchange for the information, and they knew what they were doing. When you look at what Manning did, he had uncovered evidence of war crimes committed by U.S. soldiers and committed by those in his chain of command. Who do you report it to? If you report it to the chain of command, who is complicit with it, that makes you a target. That makes you, obviously, there's almost a kind of like a group complicity that comes in with it as well. Who do you go to? He actually tried to go to Congress. Did you know that? A lot of folks think that on his first step was, I'm just going to take all these secrets and put them out there for the world. That's not what he did. He took specific correspondence, which was proof of the complicity of the war crimes, and took it to the one place that he knew that action was going to get done, and that was WikiLeaks. I mean, you think about this. Assange and all these guys, their whole point of it is not to try to make money, not to try to enrich themselves, but it's to try to expose wrongdoing. If they happen to make money along the way, I don't know how they do it. I don't care. The point for me is this. If you uncover wrongdoing in your workplace, who do you report it to? If it's your coworker, you might want to have a little conversation with Bubba over there and say, hey, man, what you did was wrong. We're not supposed to do that. Have you ever tried that before? Very often what happens is that Bubba takes it out on you or flips it around and makes it look like you're the one who did the thing that you caught Bubba doing. It still should be the first line of defense. The very first action is to go and confront the person who you found doing wrong. If that doesn't work, you take it up the chain of command. Now, obviously, the military chain of command is pretty lined out. It's pretty specific. When you get to a workplace, it might be a little fuzzier, especially if you're working for a small business. Sometimes when you're working even with corporate, bigwigs or whatever, the whole line of who's in charge of whom, who do you report to, it gets messy very quickly, and especially when you've uncovered something wrong. And I'm not talking necessarily even about something illegal, because there are a lot of things that are illegal that are not wrong, and there are a lot of things that are legal that are wrong. The point is, if you've discovered immoral activity, something that is wrong with a capital W, you have a responsibility to confront and stand against that evil, don't you? This is what Manning did. You may disagree with his methods by blowing it out for the whole world to see, but I ask you, what would you have done in that situation? Especially knowing that your chain of command was complicit with it. I fully support the commutation of Manning's sentence. In fact, I think that she should have been pardoned. At least she'll be free. Now, in terms of this he-she thing, I think, honestly, part of that has been something that is intentionally done to try to confuse the issue. Because a lot of middle America get this whole right and wrong thing screwed around in their head, so that they think that if they disagree with a person's lifestyle, that it's perfectly okay to let them suffer for doing something that they didn't even necessarily do because you don't like the way they're living. I think that's also wrong, and we can talk about that in another podcast. That's what I've got for you today on my commentary. You like what I'm doing? Please go to my website, radiofreespeech.com, and subscribe. There's several different options for you. There's the basic. There's a premium that gives you special access. We'll be able to Skype you in on some of our podcasts as well. We've got some other interesting interviews coming up. Make sure you check the interviews page for that. And, of course, there's always the Patreon link as well. You can become a patron, and the different possible ways for you to be involved in what I'm doing. Make sure that you hit me up on Facebook and tell all your friends. Oh, and don't forget the apps. I'm on both iPhone and Android now.